It's a beautiful morning out here, and thanks for joining us on Good Morning Africa, a flagship program of the station. And before we move forward, a happy independence to all our viewers out there. And I am Mimi Tondu.
My name is Chris Jacobs. A very beautiful morning to you and a happy Independence anniversary.
Okay, Nigeria is 65.
Nigeria is 65, as a matter of fact. Happy Independence.
Happy Independence, basically.
That's great. A lot of happenings, of course, that will let our viewers get to know what to expect on the show today. Can you roll it up then?
Okay. Yeah. We will be looking at a lot of issues surrounding Nigeria. Nigeria is celebrating 65 years, and how far have Nigeria gone? How far have we gone in the housing sector? How far have we gone in the education sector? How far have Nigeria gone in the health sector? Are we just increasing in years, or are we improving and developing as the years go by? This and many more we'll get to know after the short break. And for now, we'll go for the I Can Make It segment. Stay tuned. Good Morning Africa continues after the break.
Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of I Can Make It. And yes, you will make it. Just keep confessing, just keep saying it to yourself, I can make it. It is the champion inside of you that is really speaking. So anywhere you are, continue to tell yourself, I can make it. Whether you are in your house, whether you are in your office, whether you are driving, whether you are in the marketplace, or whether you are in the middle of a meeting and you are on the hot seat and they are asking you some questions that is rattling your brain and you are like, how do I go about it? Just keep telling yourself, I can make it. The more you tell yourself, I can make it, the possibilities that will help you make it in life will begin to emerge. And that is the beauty of life, that once you were challenged, but now you have what it takes and you are no longer challenged. So you will be able to make it. For today's episode, I want us to look at a very interesting topic. I want us to look at building a support network for success in life. Building a support network for success in life. Everyone desires to become successful in life. Success is a ladder. You need a lot of work to get done before you can tell yourself you are a successful person. So most times we need to build up a supportive network system. When you start things with people, they will tell you that this thing cannot work. This thing will fail. So you as a person, you need to begin to see yourself in a different perspective. That this thing I am doing, this thing can work. This thing we are doing, this thing will work. And you begin to tell yourself, I can make it. Then you now begin to encourage the others. Many times when people are telling you, probably you are working as a team, and they are telling you that we can't get results, is because what will help them get results, they are blind to those things. Those things are not yet unveiled to them. So for you, the more you look at that problem, the more you begin to receive inspiration that this is what I can do, this is what I can do. Then you now build a support network. When they are coming with complaints, you come with ideas and you have a meeting, you sit down. Have you considered if we do it this way? Have you considered if we do it this way? Have you considered if we use this material? Have you considered if we use that material? Let's give this a try. Let's give that a try. You are building a support network for you to be able to succeed in life. Now, the thing about success is this: when A is successful, B is also successful if you are working as a team. So if you are in any team, whatever task has been given to you, always know this at the back of your mind, that some members of the team will give 1,000,005 reasons while the task given to them will not succeed. They will always come up with excuses. Now, there is this popular saying in life: there is no excuse for failure. So if you fail in life and you are giving excuses that this is the reason why I'm failing in life, is because you have not given life the kind of right approach that can help you succeed in life. So when you work with people, one of the very important things you need to do with them is to let them see reasons why they have to succeed. When you succeed in that particular task that is being given to that team, every other team will begin to emulate that success, will begin to emulate whatever you are doing, and they also will begin to succeed. This is how organizations, this is how territories and the nation as a whole, this is how we can be able to take this nation through from whatever challenges that we are having right now, and get ourselves to a point that we become, a success, that we are able to generate solutions for our peculiar problems, and we are not necessarily telling ourselves that this problem cannot be solved, this problem cannot receive any headway. No. If you are a member of any team right now, begin to see everything positive that can come out of whatever task that is being given to you, and always tell yourself and tell your team members, there is no excuse for failure. On this assignment, I am not here to fail, I am here to make it, and if we work together as a team, we will make it. If you look throughout the land, there are so many problems, so many organizations, so many teams, so many parastatals, and everybody has been trying to, rack their heads, what can we do, and all of those things. See, I want to encourage you, just continue to brainstorm, just continue to build a support network system. Success is around the corner, and I can assure you, if you are not giving up, if you are not throwing in the towel, and you can look at yourself that we will make it, we can make it. I tell you, as you build a supportive network system to succeed, you will discover that mindsets of all the people working in that team will change. And this is very, very important, because every success in life should be standing on some things should be holding the success. So may every member of your team be able to hold whatever you have labored for over the years, so that the success, when it tilts to one side, will not drop and will not turn to a failure. So I want you to please encourage yourself, continue to encourage yourself, and continue to help the other team members to bring the best out of them, that you can make it, we can make it. And you discover that if you build a support network for you to be able to succeed in the marketplace, if you bring that same strategy into your family, you will discover that you will begin to succeed. Today, many families are growing apart. Father has gone this way, mother has gone this way, children has gone another way, and they keep telling themselves, this family can't get it right, this family cannot make it. You cannot be in that family and watch the family go down the drain. You need to rise up right now and begin to bring everybody together, begin to inspire them, begin to motivate them, that this family will work, this family will succeed, we will make it in this family. You bring in your idea, let me bring in my idea, let the other person bring in the idea, let us harmonize our views, and you discover that in this process, harmonizing your views, looking at how you can get a better result, looking at how you can make it, you discover that what were challenges for the family in the years past, you will not see those challenges again. And I want every family to please build a support network system, and you will discover that whatever looks like a mountain before you right now will definitely become a plain. Is a mountain is because of where you are standing. If you change the position of where you are right now, you will discover that there is actually no mountain anywhere. So if you have been able to see possibility inside impossibilities, what I will encourage you to do is to also bring the other people to that level. In a situation that the other people are not seeing what you are seeing, you consistently continue to do what you know is right. I can assure you that contribution that is coming from you, there is a way it will affect the results. If you have been getting mediocre results before, that continuous input that you are putting into it will give you an outstanding result, an excellent result, and that will become your testimony from now. So let us continue to build a supportive network system for success, telling ourselves, I can make it. Telling our team members, I can make it. I can assure you, your team will not fail. And by the mercies and grace of God, you will all succeed. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of I Can Make It. So go with this understanding, build your team members, build a supportive network system, and I can assure you, at every point in time, you all will continue to succeed because you all will make it. See you in the next episode. Thank you.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Africa, and you hope you have not missed out on anything. And today seems to be a special edition, and we will be looking at a lot of issues surrounding Nigeria as we celebrate Nigeria at 65. 6.5 decades after independence, the giant of Africa stands tall, yet weighed down by challenges that touch every home. We ask, how healthy is the nation's healthcare system? Are schools giving the next generation the tools to thrive? Is governance meeting the people's expectations? And what about housing, a basic right still out of reach for millions? It's a deep dive into health, education, governance, and housing, the 4 pillars shaping the future of Nigeria at 65. Stay with us as we'll bring you more in the course of the program. So, Mr. Chris,
Yeah.
what do you have to say about?
Well, first of all, Nigeria, first of all, have to thank God for this journey so far.
Yeah.
Nigerians have gone through hell and high waters as a nation. And if you look at some of the countries on the continent of Africa that have experienced insurrections, civil war, and so on, it didn't reach, it's not even up to half of what Nigerians are going through, but yet we are still standing as an indivisible nation. I don't know, now God created Nigerians, a special species of humans with that emotional capacity to handle challenges, as well as these shock absorbers in terms of, series of challenges and pandemonium, and we are still standing. But that's not to say Nigeria hasn't had a share of, incursion and, of course, rising cases of several challenges that has undermined the nation and as a people. You recall 1960 when the jack was lowered, ushering Nigeria into its independence, and after which the journey began, journey to building a greater and a bigger nation, that at the end of it all, they will become the giant of Africa. We started pretty well. Yeah. If you look at our education system in the early 70s, foreigners used to come to Nigeria to study, talking about our, university system, our tertiary institution. While I was growing up, as a matter of fact, I met some Filipinos, Filipinos used to be in Nigeria's university. Indians, were here in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, there were other countries, other citizens of other countries that came to study in our university. But over time, we began to see the deterioration of these universities and tertiary institutions that opened another floodgate for, instead of people coming into, that it kind of shut the floodgate for foreigners coming to the country to study. We now see citizens of Nigeria going abroad, to study.
And looking at that, one will wonder why the system changed drastically, and the whole thing is like the whole table turning around concerning the education, because a lot of Nigerians now are eager, and the feel going abroad to study is more of value than studying here in Nigeria, because I've seen a case where a Nigerian, where a lot of students here, some of them, they don't do well here, but when they go abroad, they just discover their grades are high. So why is it so? Is it that the environment, first of all, has to be conducive, because if an environment is not conducive, it hampers on your cognitive ability as a student, and of course conception will be pretty difficult. I have a friend currently who is running his PhD in university, a state university in Florida, United States, and of course, the number of students in the class is something to to go by. In Nigeria here, you see the lecture theater,
housing about 100 students. And most often, this lecture theater do not have public address system.
Not at all.
You could see a student who is seated far behind, wouldn't even
Can't
hear
get the
what the lecturer
lecturers.
is saying. He ends up asking a seatmate, what did he say? What did he say? And that kind of affect, the cognitive ability of a student. So these are many more, surrounding and revolving the education sector in Nigeria, and it has undermined the proficiency and the efficiency, of our education. Looking at the level of disposition of the government and the system. And mind you, way back after independence, we never had private universities. But that's not to say, Nigerians weren't going abroad to study. Of course, it was scholarship, they studied abroad, and they did very well. And for those who study abroad came and also make their impact in Nigeria. And most of the leaders today actually enjoy free education. That's what I wanted to say. They actually enjoy free education. If they show you the ticket, the meal ticket in the university system, then was it a Buzera, University of Unsoka, and so on, you could see that they were fed. And even after graduation, we were told that a car waited for them even after graduation and got a job. But we cannot overrule the fact that population growth wasn't it wasn't like what it is now. So there's this ample opportunity for a lot of students even after graduation for them to get a job, and that began to grow. But population growth and the deterioration of the education sector began to get weaker, thereby undermining the foundation, the good foundation the government had laid, that actually infuse a very strong, educational background, in the minds of Nigerian students. But gradually we began to see, like I told you earlier, the deterioration of the educational sector. Back then, we never had private universities, even private secondary school never had that. So the government, took control absolutely of public education, and they gave their all, to public education. But it was the supporting of this deterioration of the education sector. Perhaps it ushered or it informed the decision for the private universities, to start coming on board.
Now, talking about the population, I begin to wonder if the government then was really doing much. It would have been better if they had a plan of ahead to tackle the situation, because definitely as a nation, you have your independence, you're on your own. You have to make bigger plans, wider plans to accommodate the population. Visionary plans, exactly. So now the school is experiencing a major setback in the infrastructure, just like you mentioned, and the environment is not conducive. And another thing is, let's say, is it on the part of the lecturers or the relationship, student-lecturers relationship?
Student-lecturer relationship is one thing, but another bigger monster is the industrial actions, talking about, the instability of, you can hardly see Nigerian university enjoy complete semester without going for an industrial action. Yes, and it got to the point as if the government is not mindful of the welfare of these lecturers, and that again, opened another situation that affected the lecturers themselves, because if the lecturers are not well catered for, it has a way of affecting their delivery. So the disposition of these lecturers actually is predicated on the fact that the government should, as a matter of fact, handle their cases with utmost care.
I can remember one of my lecturers were in class then, and he was like, well, he's here, he's doing his work. This is not the atmosphere, this is not the environment he wished to lecture the student. So as for him, he cannot give his all. He cannot give his all. And he used 45 minutes for a lecture of 2 hours.
2 hours. Yes, because he just wanted to rush it and go.
Yes,
the environment isn't conducive.
Okay, now.
Well, let's look at other issues. Of course,
before we go into other issues, let's look at this one briefly. Now, the NYSC.
Yeah, that's correct.
NYSC, because there are a lot of challenges. Now, people most of the graduates, they believe that yeah, after NYC the jobs are waiting for them there. And then there is another policy that is on ground where a lot of people don't employ graduates based on not serving, and NYC have, but the federal government has given an age where if you are beyond 30,
yeah, you cannot
you
serve.
cannot
But I've
serve.
also seen a lot of people who are beyond 30 that want to go serving because of the alawi. You know, somebody say, well, that's over the 7,000. You know, it's going to go a long way for
So
them.
why not government remove this thing totally, so that at least those who are seeking employment will be able to, the issue of bringing your NYC certificate, attaching your NYC certificate to your resume or your resume before you your CV before you get in a job is really affecting a lot
Indeed.
of things.
And sometimes the those who are trying to employ you to tell you until you have like 5 years experience. So when did you graduate from school, and your age barrier now, you haven't even gotten the job to have that experience, you know, of course, 5 years before you can get a job. So yeah, sometimes the system is unfair. You understand what I'm saying to Nigerian graduate, and they tell you that, okay, you graduated, you need to gather more experience, and sometimes they even tell you that even before you get to the place, they don't open a portal for the employment. You know, the bourgeoisies have already replaced, you know, you with their children who have schooled abroad, and they came back they just came and served the nation while your job is waiting for them. But I know it shall be better, and Nigeria will be much more better than
we
this.
still have more years ahead.
Yeah.
And we
All right.
believe that everything
Nigeria is still in 65. Let's take a look at our security. I understand that, of course, you know, that's why earlier I told you that Nigerians are very strong people, emotionally strong, mentally strong, and of course we are a kind of a unique species on the face of the earth. Most of the countries on the continent of Africa that experience civil war, insurrections, and incursion, most of the challenges isn't even up to half of what Nigeria went through, you know, and we are still standing. I don't want to take us back to the harrowing days of the civil war, but of course we have other, you know, rising cases of insecurity, the Boko Haram that have ravaged the northeastern part of the country. Yes, IPOB in the southeast part of Nigeria, the middle belt, north central,
clashes.
And the most recent one is the northwest, you know, that has come under the siege of bandits and terrorists within the fringes of Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Niger. And you begin to ask questions. Are these people stronger than the Nigerian armed forces? Don't forget the fact that Nigerian army was rated one of the best on the continent of Africa. We quelled the insurrection in Liberia some times ago. We quelled the insurrection also in Sierra Leone. But what is that challenge?
We can't handle the one in Nigeria. Well, we're looking at that the insecurity, because so many things came up, and people side talks were like they are being sponsored by the leaders,
but by some persons,
allegedly actually. And now when you go deep into it, some people said this crisis are going on based on selfish reasons, allegedly as well too, because you looking at it, you are collecting allowance, you as a leader, you as a governor of a state, you are collecting allowance for security.
That's right.
You wouldn't want that to finish.
The security votes.
You wouldn't want that to go entirely. You understand? So this is one of the challenges. You are being greedy at the detriment of the lives of your people.
That's right.
If these people are wiped out entirely, who are you going to rule?
Who are you going to rule? That is a very fundamental question that, of course, begs for answer. You know, and it is very pertinent also to note that our borders have been porous, and most of these persons who have come to the shores of this country, you know, killing, maiming, abducting people in their numbers, you know, predominantly foreigners. Yes, I've been on the front line, you know, in the northeastern part of Nigeria, you know, and if you see their facial looks, you understand what I'm saying, you can tell that these are not Nigerians. So quite a number of them actually came into the country. And how did they get access to the country? You know, through the porous borders. the porosity of our borders is something to worry about.
It's really something to do with. Sometimes it's like a shame to me if I'm in that position and I am not able to tackle this. It should be a shame on my part. I don't have the right to speak openly because I am given a duty.
Yeah.
I cannot protect my people. My duty is to stand in this post, fill up this gap, and ensure that the lives of these people are protected. But what am I doing, or what becomes of me when there is a loophole there?
I understand that the land mass, is vast, is wide, and as a matter of fact, the security operatives cannot completely.
But still, there is always a way out.
Yeah,
There is when you give when we see 50% results, yes, people are relaxed and they feel okay, you are working. Well, what happens in a situation where even the 50% we cannot get, we're getting okay, maybe a 40% out of it,
and of course, the issue of espionage has been something to worry about in the fight against insurgency, and you understand that the Nigerian police, of course, is a lead agency when it comes to internal security, while the military, of course, is established to confront with external aggression. But because of the complexity of the insurrection in Nigeria, there is this integration of both the Nigerian police on the front line, the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, and other paramilitary. And we just hope that the right thing is done. Like what is obtainable in developed climes. I've stayed in Israel for some time. I see the way their security operatives, do their work, no matter who you are. If you compromise, you experience the punitive measures, whether you're a soldier, you're police, and we've seen where a lot of security personnel compromise. And little wonder, a few weeks ago here in the country, retired policemen, staged protests because of their welfare wasn't anything to write home about.
That is another thing.
And how do you expect a Nigerian police, after serving militarily for 35 years, you give him 2 million as his gratuity? And tell me, why wouldn't those who are still why wouldn't those who are still serving compromise? And that's why you see them on the highway. They collect certain stipends, on the highway. So the compromise. The security, they wouldn't just check your boots because you give them a little bit of stipends. But if the welfare is good and it's something to write them about, nobody will care about collecting 15 naira or $100 on the way, and they must definitely check your boot.
I feel when you sign in for a thing, you give them your best end.
It's an oath you're signing.
You sign it for a thing. So every time we complain about government, we are the government.
We are the government.
And in my own position, I sign up that I'm going to safeguard these people.
That's right.
And I'm compromising. It's not really good. But since in as much as everything is going on this way, the government have to hear the cry of the people and step up and ensure that measures are put in place to keep in security in that. Because when you look at the farmer herders clash, it's something that's should be tackled in a short while, but it has been going on and on and on and on. Those are communities. We have states, we have border states, and when you go to the state, how far these people coming through your state, they have nothing to say about it. So this is something that really needs to be looked into.
I think, like I told you, the complexity in the Nigerian security challenges, it's very dicey. That sometimes they begin to ask questions. Where did we go wrong? What is it that we're not doing right that we need to step up and improve upon? If our leaders, particularly those in the helm of affairs, if they can readjust and also do the right thing, having ability to decipher those who are, creating these problems in the country. Sometimes they say, okay, the financiers of Boko Haram will be brought to book and shown, but we haven't had any name mentioned up to date as we speak. Former President Goodluck Jonathan once said that he has Boko Haram in his cabinet, and yet we've never had anyone brought to book. We've never had anyone face, the wrath of the law. And likewise, during Buhari's regime, God rest his soul, they say, okay, there are financiers of this terrorism in Nigeria. United Arab Emirates submitted some names some time ago, and we expected to see those persons whose name appeared on the list of terror financiers, have been brought to book.
For
that happened.
The Nnamdi Kanu's
case up to now.
Because the lockdown happening in the western parts of Nigeria, which
stay at home,
Monday. Isn't it time for Nigeria to consider releasing this man? Because in as much as is there is still a lot of insecurities and genocide, but well, they have refuted that it's not genocide, it's insecurity.
But kudos to the Nigerian military who have been able to clamp down on the so-called gentle Yahoo. You know, it's one of the leaders of the proscribed IPOP group was recently arrested and of course neutralized, and also the government, as a matter of fact, has arrested Sam Ikpa, who was in Finland, causing this trouble and insurrection in the southeastern part of the country. And I think that indeed will be a thing of the past. And also, I also want to bring up something that is in consonance with what we talked about earlier about education. Health. You know, before, I like traveling back to history a little bit. We also had people coming to Nigerian hospitals for treatment from abroad. Back then, those from Malaysia, India has also come, to be treated here in Nigeria. But reverse is the case now. Nigeria go abroad for treatment. Our leaders go abroad for treatment. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back then, Brazil, India, and Nigeria were categorized as third world countries. But as I speak to you today, India has gone further. The Kekenapep, you see Nigerians, enjoying today everywhere from India. And Brazil also, these Marco Polo buses you see plying our roads, from Brazil. Let me shock you still. There is this jet A29 Tucano jet procured during former President Buhari's regime by the Nigerian government, to confront insurgents. It started, the production started in Brazil before America improved upon it, and yet we were categorized back then as a third world country. But of course, they've gone further.
A lot has happened, and this is due to this 65 years of Nigeria. Because when we check out the analysts, we discover most of the best doctors, physicians out there are Nigerians,
as a matter of fact.
Nigerians. So, what do you stand to gain in a country where your rights are not protected, where you don't have access to the little amenities, where you have to beg for your salaries to be paid, where you are not guaranteed of your pension or your retirements and benefits? What do you have to stake for that? So a lot of people have discovered that the few years that they will go to where they are celebrated more than where they are not celebrated.
Where the environment enables them to practice,
practice their field very
absolutely seamlessly, as a matter of fact.
And they are more appreciated over there. And you discover anyone that is into medicine, when you go into a university, the next thing you're finding yourself, you're looking for a scholarship to go abroad and continue. And one of my friends, she started with University of Calabar, and in the course of, she was in her year 2, and the next thing, strike. Before you know what's happening, the dad flew her out.
Oh, sure.
So what happens to those who don't have the money? And now she is a doctor. When she graduated with first class, and she is retained there.
Can you imagine?
So here in Nigeria, you must have the connection to be retained.
And apart from that, a course that ordinarily is supposed to take you 4 years, because of the incessant strike action, industrial action in the university system, course that's supposed to take you 4 years, you end up spending
6 years,
6 to 7 years, depending on the course. Anyway,
so still on the the health sector, there is another issue that has been on ground. The issue of doctors who are working with the federal medical centers and the general hospitals owning their own private hospitals, which makes them not to give good attention to the patients in the federal medical center who cannot afford their own private sector. So why do you think you have to be so?
Well, I think the Nigerian Medical Association has a standard. Resident doctors are the ones who are not allowed, to operate privately, while still working for government. But those senior doctors, of course, as a matter of fact, I think they operate under their own private.
So there have to be a balance.
There has to be a
There
balance.
have to be a
anyway.
balance. If you're serving your country, you serve it well. These are the people in this general hospital or federal medical centers have the same lives those who come to your medical center. Of course, you're working for the money, and you cannot depend solely on governments. But still, you have to prioritize the lives of everyone, because everyone is important.
Indeed. All right. Before we, take a short break, and of course, we'll be talking about judiciary. But I don't know what you know about our judicial system. Over time, and sometimes some say perhaps our judicial system had been, undermined by the control of the power that be, and that it's been said that is the last hope of the common man. But the common man now doesn't look at the Nigerian judicial system as a place where he can get justice. There is a difference between getting justice and as well, getting rulings. You might not get justice, but of course, you might go to the court, but your case might be ruled over without you having given that justice. And what Nigerians are looking for is justice, and we hope that one day, someday, as a country peruses towards growth and of course prospective agenda, we shall get that in a pretty short time, isn't it? All right.
Yeah. So,
well, you're watching Independent Special on Housing TV Africa. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll delve into our conversation with a legal luminary, where we'll look at the journey so far, our judicial system and jurisprudence. To join us again.
As a people, with one song, with one voice, we're a nation undivided and poised. We will take us down.
welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is still Good Morning African Housing TV, and we're here in the studio with Barrister Prince Ojoka, who will be talking to us about the judicial reforms since independence. And we are still celebrating Nigerian at 65, and he will tell us more on the judicial reforms. Glad to have you, Mr. Mr. Prince Ojoka.
It's a pleasure to have you, Barrister Ojoka, and I say happy independence celebration to you.
Thank you. Happy independence to you too.
Happy independence.
All right, let's just set a premise for this conversation. How would you describe the journey so far? Talking about the judicial journey and its jurisprudence, since 1960.
Well, the Nigerian judicial system in Nigeria, having become independent in 1960, has over time undergo various changes in an attempt to make it more efficient and also effective. Now, if we take it back to 1975, when the federal military government created a National Judicial Council, which is the NJC, to oversee the judiciary system, you will recall that the Nigerian Constitution has also undergone several amendments to improve the judicial.
Yeah, but with the changes, as a matter of fact, you talk about the military coming up on board to create what we call the NJC, Nigeria Judicial System. Now, apart from the military regime, there has been this interruption and obstructions intermittently of the democratic rule. Thereby, we've seen during the military regime, instead of operating democratically and legislatively, they came up with what they call decree. So how has that affected the journey of the judicial system and its jurisprudence?
Now, you recall that in that time, when there were decree under the military regime, the judicial system, of course, is not without challenges, like I've said. We are still in a democracy that is still growing. And we expect that under democracy, which after the colonial era, a lot has also been done in order to ensure that justice for the common man, that is what the judicial reform is all about. Because at the end of the day, if the common man does not feel the impact of the reform, then it's of no use. I see no reason why somebody has to be reminded in court when the court have not found him guilty for over 5 years. And we, of course, in the Judicial Commission, we are seeing that a lot of these things has to be changed. If somebody has committed a crime or suspected to have committed a crime, you don't need a remand order that keeps him beyond 48 hours just because you want to punish him for offense you think he committed without first allowing him to defend himself.
Yeah.
The judiciary and the court system must be the last hope of the common man. So we understand that there's an abuse of that process. Just yesterday, in order to celebrate the new legal year, our able president, Afam Osigwe, made it very clear that unnecessary remand order has to be stopped, because the court, of course, has become a place where people use the judiciary to punish their enemy. It is not supposed to be so. So we expect that, apart from the AJA, which is the Administration of Criminal Justice System, enacted in 2015, we hope that other reform too should be positive, that the common man should feel the impact of this reform. If the common man does not feel the impact of this reform, it's of no use. Nnamdi Kanu is another case. We saw the case of Nnamdi Kanu, who have been behind bars for so many years before his trial just continued. It's not supposed to be so in a democracy. Of course, the judiciary has to be independent in order to be seen as the hope of the common man, without any interference from the executive. We've seen abuse of the judicial process where a chief justice was removed, Justice Onoge, Wanda Onoge. Yeah. This, of course, we have also seen recently under this administration where a sitting governor, elected governor, was suspended. It is an abnormality, of course, that should not be repeated in any democracy.
You said that the judiciary has to be independent. Is the judiciary not independent?
The judiciary is independent, but to a large extent still being manipulated. It's not except without corruption. Of course, we have seen where, of course, so many justices, of course, has been relieved of their appointment. Some have been suspended because of their role they played negatively that affected the judiciary. So the National Judicial Commission is not relenting. It's also punishing errant justice, including litigants and lawyers. So they are not sleeping. So a whole lot is still ongoing in order for this reform to be positive in the life of Nigeria.
So how soon do you think their struggle or their fight for the independence totally will be resolved? Because it's a kind of a fight between a body and a government.
Now, the judicial system, over 65 years of our independence, is like every other sector. Who, of course, faces challenges. It's like a grandchild, that need to crawl and then walk and then run and all of that. So at this point, I think we are the judiciary. We are working. We are not running yet. The reform is not speedy. It's not as fast as Nigeria expects it to be. So for that reason, we also hope that a day will come where the common man will have that integrity to understand that the court is truly the last hope.
Okay. So what landmark judicial decisions do you think have shaped most Nigerians' democracy?
Very simple. Let me take one case that people don't look at it. Now, before now, a certain group of people felt the oil that was taken from their place, they, of course, were not benefiting from it.
Okay.
So at a point, they cried, protested. In fact, even had their kinsmen even being slaughtered. Yeah, Sarowa is one of those examples. The Ogoni land and all of that, which we have just seen that a whole lot of them today are being given amnesty and giving all of that. You understand? National honor. Of what use? These were people that fought for what they thought was their rights. And the government, in order to ensure that their voice were not heard, silenced them. What a calamity that befalls that community at that time. That people who stood to fight for justice for them were eliminated because the government, of course, perceived them as people who do not want them to achieve their own common selfish objective. Today, we are giving them post-monsoons awards and all of that. Now, the Niger militancy is not out of it. It's part of the reform. At that time, they were seen as criminals. But the man had vision. He said, look, they are not criminals. The person of Yaradua. He said, let's look at one particular area. Why not we grant them amnesty? When we grant them amnesty and then we give them some of these things they're asking for, probably it could reduce their agitation, and then they'll be part of the system, and then they will benefit from the system. And that was what happened. and they were granted amnesty. So they were no longer seen as criminals who were destroying and vandalizing the Commonwealth of the nation, but they were seen as freedom fighter. That's why people like Tom Polo has been given the largest contract to protect the same pipeline they were destroying.
And ever since he was
given the appointment to be part of the system, we have seen that since that time up to this moment, there have been, a lasting peace to an extent that this same oil that benefits Nigerians are no longer being destroyed. A man had sense, it's part of the reform. So that is one. We have seen the Administration of Criminal Justice Act that have said, look, a lot of things has to be done. So reform continues. Reform is a continuous process.
But part of the reforms, of course, that has taken a toll on Nigerians is the appointment of the Chief Justice of the Federation. And a lot of people are saying, as long as the appointment is made by the president, it means that the CJ will dance to the tune of the president. It will be adhere to the dictate of the president. Are you of the school of thought that until the appointment is either made by the NJC, that's Nigerian Judicial Council, rather than being made by the president, the reforms may not be quickly as possible as we expected?
You're not far from your assumption. Your thought is as good as mine. The executive controls a whole lot of power. That at this point, the National Assembly should find a way to reduce some of that power given to the executive. The president of this country, I am telling you, controls almost everything.
Exactly.
And the moment he controls, as a matter of fact, a lot of people will not come to Nigeria to do investment where, of course, they know that the judicial system is controlled by the executive. Because government is supposed to be for check and balance.
That's correct.
Yes.
The National Assembly, which is the legislative arm of government, is being controlled.
So by that, they cannot check and
So you can't check and balance the executive. So judiciary is also not left out of it. If the president have to, we saw under Muhammad Buhari where, of course, the Chief Justice of the Federation was removed. Up to this moment, no genuine reason has been given to that reason why he was removed. In this particular administration, a sitting governor was also suspended.
A
democratic elected governor.
Yeah.
So all of these things is what we are talking about. Now, you asked what was the landmark judgment that took place within this certain period. Now, let's look at Abacha versus Fayemi, a landmark case that demonstrated the judicial capacity to protect citizens' rights, uphold the rule of law. Let's look at the case of Nnamdi Kanu too.
Exactly.
So the case of Nnamdi Kanu, as you are aware, a recent case involving the leader of the IPOB, is facing terrorism and treasonable charges because he demanded for a separative rule. This is not supposed to be so. Why should a man be called do you know the allegation that is being leveled on this man? Traceable felony means that he's facing a capital punishment at the end of the day. It's like similar to murder. This was a man that his home was invaded. Over 28 of his family members were assassinated under that same regime. This was a man that up till today, nobody can account for who approved the airline in another country that adopted him, flew him to Nigeria, and to take him up to this moment, so many years later. He's still in detention, even when there's a court order that at least allow him enjoy freedom.
But if also we can be a little bit fair to this, you understand that in Constitution there is no referendum, and that secessionism, is an issue. So perhaps he's been tried for trying to promote secessionism, whereby creating or carving a country out of a country of its own.
Now, a certain man came out and said, look, Western education is highly prohibited in the north. Now, the person of Yusuf, we saw the mistake that the then government of Olusegun Obasanjo did. He was not given fair hearing. He was assassinated, and we felt the impact of it up to this moment. Boko Haram have not stopped killing Nigerians up to today because they didn't have vision on how to manage this crisis. If the president was not the president today, I want to believe that somebody like Sunday Igboho, who was under Muhammad Buhari regime, was also agitating for the same cause that Nnamdi Kanu is currently agitating, would have still been behind bar. But today, you already know what happened. He's enjoying the liberty. Yes, of course, he's still in the wanted list, but then he has the freedom. Unlike what Nnamdi Kanu does not have.
Still on the Nnamdi Kanu case because he's still in detention and his boys are still working. So is there no policy or any agreements the government would have or the judicial will have with him to ensure that even in his freedom, he doesn't go further in bringing up another state in another country in a country because his detention has taken so much time and still yet the western parts of Nigeria are still observing sit at home every Monday, which affects a lot of businesses and a lot of movements in Nigeria.
The case of Nnamdi Kanu, as you are rightly said, that his action is causing sit at home that is crumbling the economic of that region. He has come out and said, look, I'm not responsible. He says it's not responsible.
It was an IPA.
You understand? The other man that, of course, was responsible for it, Nnamdi Kanu has denied every ties that tied him together with this young man. And this young man is in Finland now, suffering for the crime of what he committed. So, as long as somebody else has admitted to be responsible for that particular action,
So why not?
and he's been tried in, the least you can do is, if it's possible, let him come to Nigeria, follow due process. That's what we are saying. Bring him, let him come and face.
Or the Nigerian government should apply for repatriation.
Yeah, you getting the point.
Extradition, rather.
Extradition.
Yeah.
Follow the right process. We are not against due process. A judge was adopted or kidnapped. Nobody rescued him. Yesterday, a lawyer was killed. A journalist in Arise TV.
Yeah.
As we speak, Kotuba was last week. A lawyer that was in Abuja for her Kotuba, on her way back to the east, was kidnapped. Up to this moment, she's still in the hands of her captivity. Oh, what a calamity. Who is going to protect you and I? So the reform does not just start with, lawyers today are being silent, are being killed, are being detained. All of these challenges still continue. And the president of the Nigerian Bar Association is not out of it. He said, look, so many things are going that we are not giving priorities to. Now, let's focus on what he has done in his own part. You understand that, look, the tinted glass permit of most cars these days, as you are aware, comes with, figured tinted glass permit. Now, the police are saying, look, in order to, go about with this tinted glass permit, you need an approval from the Nigerian Police Force. Yes. And it's renewable annually. The NBA look at it and say, look, you are not supposed to be, generating revenue for the government. You have to protect lives and property. And if you have the power to approve some of these things, make it once an approval thing, not a money-generating avenue. Where every year you keep renewing. If you want to do away with the tinted glass permit, do away with it. There's already a law that says nobody should even use tinted glass permit prior to this time. And then that same law, reform keep going on, and it's okay, fine. If you have to do that, get an approval from the Nigerian Police Force. We are giving them the power. But they are abusing the power. So the police is focusing on, implementing and effecting the tinted glass permit, while Nigerians are being killed daily. In our community today, if Ababa is in your community, can you boldly say that in the next 10 minutes, you can call for the Nigerian Police Force and they will be there to rescue you or protect you, which is their primary responsibility.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing, I know Lucy wants to ask a question, but let me just interject. I'm glad you're bringing the issue of the Nigerian Police Force. And a lot of abnormalities and irregularities, of course, is characterizing, their activities. For instance, now, it is written boldly that bail is free. And if you go to bail someone in the police station, someone who is in the police custody, you will agree with me that you hardly can leave the premises without you parting away with some valuables. They'll tell you that bail is free on paper, as a matter of fact, but and the person perhaps might have been in detention for more than 24 hours. So how do we get these results as regard to the constitution that superintends over the Nigerian police?
The Nigerian police is not left with what the Nigerian Bar Association president have just said. Now, all of us have acknowledged the fact that there's already an abuse of bail processes. And one of that abuse is increasing use of remand order as a tools, of oppression against perceived enemies. It shouldn't be so. Where your right start, that's where my own start too. I recently handled a case in the EFCC. Fine gentlemen in that department. the truth be told, well trained. But then something is wrong that nobody is talking about it.
Okay.
Now, if you have to detain a man, you go to a birthday party, you saw some young men. Of course, you know the normal trend these days. It's assumed that all the young men are Yahoo.
Especially if you're driving.
You understand?
And you
So
have a laptop.
it is only in this generation that you assume that young people does not have right to make money, and enjoy luxury. So once that happens, they attack as what? Yahoo. I even asked myself one day, let me even dress like the Yahoo boys. I was going for a party. I like party. You understand? So on my way going, and then a policeman stopped me and he was like, may we know you? I said, my name is Prince Ojoka. I'm an Nigerian citizen. I want to go have fun. It's okay. And, you know, we are doing stop and search. Can we search you? I told him, I said, gladly. There's nothing to hide. You won't believe that before I got to that point, the Okada asked me, Oga, I hope you don't carry anything. I said, okay, anything like, say, like drugs, all those kind of things. I said, don't worry. It's not even my team. So let's go. So when we got there, I stopped. And he's like, search yourself. I said, no. It's stupid of me to start searching myself. You want to search me, go ahead. I have nothing to hide. So that you don't come and spoil my evening. You understand? Just do your part. Just make sure I observe your hand. You know, you have to be careful. He did what he needed to do, and I left because of how I was dressing. If I was wearing a tie, like my brother, or if I'm dressed this way, definitely he would stop me, because they assume that when you flaunt, some kind of dressing. Now, this young man was raided in a birthday party, was in EFCC custody for 1 month and 2 weeks. Why does he have to take 1 month and 2 weeks for someone to be in detention for an allegation of belonging to a group known as the Yahoo Boys, when there's no evidence tying him to that allegations? Say we are still investigating, we are still doing forensic audit. At the end of the day, the young man was finally released. Bail wasn't free. Hello.
Bail wasn't free.
Bail was not free.
Even after wasting
his time. As a matter of fact, as part of the things he has to do for his bail, after bringing a reliable shorty, he still has to forfeit his phone to the federal government without even charging him to court. It shouldn't be so. This is an error. 99% of Nigerians are going through that, where they have to fulfill their freedom. They have to tell, okay, fine. If you want to claim this your right, we'll find so many other excuses to tie you to an allegations that an offense you did not commit. Why should it be so? Why are people oppressed in this country and nobody is talking? The few persons that are talking, of course, we have seen the like of Sowore. We saw the humiliation he went through just because of his ability to hold the government accountable. The price is a huge one. As we speak, Very Dark Man phone is still in EFCC. They have not tied him to any offense that he committed known to law, but he said, look, my phone is still with EFCC. He was adopted inside the bank when he went to fight for his mother's account that was tempered. And then the next thing, he landed in EFCC. At the end of the day, his phone is still with them. Why do you need to hold my phone? If you have nothing to hold me responsible, allow me. And nobody today has asked that Very Dark Man phone should be released to him. The police system. So Ore went on, assisting the police to protest. And then his red glasses was stolen by a police officer. And the police, finally had the opportunity to, recover the glasses, hand over the glasses to him. But what about the person that tampered with?
He was shielded.
The camera captured this, the evidence was there.
Footages.
And up to this moment, the police have not come out clean. Come out clean. That's what we are saying.
So with this, with every illustration and all the evidence you've listed here, would you say the judiciary has lived up to its constitutional role as the last hope of the common man?
No. I will tell you gladly. No. When a man dies and the family collects compensation, how does that bring back the life of that young man? The family are the one that are going to eat the blood of their own child. Let's take a case in Calabar. A young man went to the government house. According to him, he's led by the Holy Spirit to preach to the governor for whatever reason. As if that was not enough, the police guiding the governor fired and killed an innocent 22-year-old promising young man in the government house of Cross River State. Oh, man. And up to this moment, the government came out and said, look, we are giving the family 5 million naira as compensation. Even if you see a trespasser in your property, killing the person is not the right thing
This
to do.
should be last.
It should be the last option.
And not
Have you even sighted gun in his hand?
not that he was bearing any.
You know, as if he was bearing any arm, and they are not even remorseful. And the mother said, look, keep your 5 million naira. I want justice
Exactly.
for my son. We live in a country where prominent young men are being slaughtered. Look at the fish magnate in Anambra State. That young man was killed. Up to this moment, nobody has account for his mother. A life wasted. It could be you, it could be me tomorrow. Just like the journalist that is dead yesterday. She succeeded in pageantry, succeeded in being a lawyer called to bar, and then practicing as a journalist in her property in Katampe. Not as if it is in Maraba. And if it was in Maraba, we understand that. If a place like Katampe, robbers can, you know, and they were calling police. Oh, another phase system again is the health sector. We don't want to go there. So, you understand? So, we don't want to go there. So, it's not just in the judiciary that needs a reform. Reform has to be seen in almost all sectors, in almost all agencies.
Like this case you've mentioned, sorry, sir. Yeah, it took me back to the case of the NSAS, where Nigerians, where youths were killed holding the flag, which is very, very wrong.
Yeah.
When you see someone holding a Nigerian flag, you don't have to kill the person, and they were murdered in cold blood. So the justice, the judicial system really needs to do something, because a lot. Okay, even in your own comfort zone, you are being killed. They said when you mingle with the wrong persons, that's when you become a victim. But what happens when you in your own house doing your own thing, you are not associating with any other crime, and you're being killed.
October 2020. 20th October 2020.
That was after the independence celebration.
Now, I was victim of the NSAS. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's on record that during the NSAS, were the people that were attacked under Beggar Bridge.
Okay.
The protest did not just happen in Lagos. That's where people are missing
exactly.
it out. From Delta State to Abuja to all the other areas in Nigeria.
Other countries, other states, I mean.
They say no soldier go to battle without having a scar to tell his story. This is for NSAS.
Wow.
Now, if you check the internet, I was the pro bono lawyer that was assaulted during the End Hunger protest. Locked up and detained in Central Area Police Station. Human rights lawyer and activist Prince Ojoka assaulted by Nigerian police force. Over 15 police officers parked their car, 2 hillocks, came down with gun boots. If I tell you this eye you're seeing today I'm using glasses because of the effect of the damages that was the injustice that was done to me as a person. Because I participated in a protest where we're supposed to, hold government accountable for the same check and balance that the National Assembly has failed to do. And the judiciary too, at some extent, has failed to do.
But is it not the same Nigerian police force where Nigerians actually protested for the betterment of their welfare, and the same police again started clamping down on Nigerians?
My mother told me a story, say, don't cry more than they bereave. That's the truth. My mother went to a funeral and then she was crying. And then her friend called her and said, Inda Laobe, is it your mother that died or my mother? Because you're crying more than me. So aware, of course, who assisted the police, so that their voice can be heard.
Yeah.
Was a victim of the same police system. He has always been a victim up to this moment. He said, look, if a man is 60 years old, he should resign from, he should be retired according to what the law says.
Exactly.
You don't need to keep the man beyond that time so that other people, we are looking at a population of 210 million in Nigeria. I can imagine at this point, we are still calling Jonathan that has been vice president, governor, former president to become, to run for president, to run for election again. He's not the only person in Nigeria. He should he should be, dignity should be in a man's heart. As a matter of fact, the current president we are having right now, yes, I think to an extent, Nigeria has gone beyond sentiment. We can't be talking and then we are not getting result. You can't continue to clap down on people that try to hold government accountable. What are you celebrating? As we speak, 65 years is worth celebrating. In all the battles we have fought under Muhammadu Buhari, wasted 8 years. And then, with what we have gone through again after the removal of the fuel subsidy, Oh man, I don't know if you have not seen her. Me, I've seen her. Yes,
Right.
I've seen her. We are all in
No,
it.
you've seen a lot.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
You understand now? In all of it, now two things to take home at the end of this program. The economic keep biting, including house rent, including transportation, including feeding, including education. There's nothing that the common man today benefit from this government that the government keeps talking. By next say, oh man, taxation will drain us. Taxation will drain us. It's currently draining us. Today you are seeing how data has become so expensive. Things that were just basic things of life has become something else. The standard of living is reducing. At the end of the day, who is going to pay the cats? If people don't speak or have the opportunity to speak, or when they speak, their life is being few from them. I call them the silent wretched majority, which are the common Nigerians. How does this 65 years independent affect their life? Now, the government, of course, currently has cancelled the celebration because there is nothing worth celebrating. There's nothing worth celebrating because at the end of the day, if the common man does not, I repeat, just like in the judicial system, feel the impact of the judiciary that no policeman should harass them because of their status as youth and tagging them as Yahoo. If at the end of the people, of course, are not being detained, and then a remind order is coming from the judiciary, keeping them beyond the stipulated time, and then wasting their time, resources, and energy. A whole lot has to be done.
Let's go further, Barrister. In recent times, we have seen that the outcome of our elections is determined by the judiciary. What I mean here is that our elections mostly is characterized by litigations, and of course, after that they go to court because we have bad politicians who are bad losers. You know what I'm saying? So the outcome of the election most often in recent times is determined by the judiciary. Are you also one that belongs to the school of thought that perhaps our judiciary has been politicized?
Now, very simple. Let's take, for example, the EFCC. If the EFCC has to wait until when a governor leaves office before he can be persecuted, then there's a lacuna.
No, but the law should take up the immunity from the sitting governor.
Now, this is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
If you see a man that is stealing something, do you have to wait until when
Yes,
you understand? Cover his track before you now persecute him.
No.
So until some of these laws are amended, the problem continue. In some countries, you don't need to wait. We have seen where presidents, of course, governors, of course, are being dragged to court.
Exactly.
Why they are still in position. You don't need to wait until when all of that we move. That's where the National Assembly comes in to enact and make some of these laws that has to, compare the government, in order to remove some of this immunity, giving them this power. That's just for the EFCC, for example. We look at a power where, of course, the EFCC can go beyond. Are you getting the point? That's number one. Now, if you want to look at reform in the judicial system, two things is very important. And one of it is this. On no account should a Nigeria be without the right to protest. Because it is only in that part that people will be entitled to feel as citizens in their own country to hold government accountable. Government exists for the people, by the people, and for the people. So the people, of course, as a matter of fact, should be able to hold this same government accountable. But today, all those who hold government accountable are either dead or are in detention or has been deprived of the rights. I've mentioned cases like Sowore. I've mentioned other cases too. It shouldn't be so.
I'm interested on what you say, that if a governor steals while in office, he should be prosecuted. But you were in this country, and all of us have been in this country, where the former APC national chairman Adams Oshomole said, if you defect to the ruling All Progressive Congress, your sins are forgiven. What does that mean to you? Why we see perhaps reasons why a lot of governors now are beginning to defect to the ruling All Progressive Congress. We've seen governors that of course did nothing absolutely in their state, but they embezzled huge amount of money, and now they are free birds, moving around because they have become an integral part of the ruling party, the APC.
Obaseki of Benin Former governor of Benin. We saw a case where, with the moment he joined the APC, all the allegations that were leveled against him were dropped. People like Yaya Bello, today, he's a member of APC. This is a man who, you know, ate the whole allocation that was given to his state. I'm not missing word. Check it out. This is a man that embezzled the whole bailout fund, money that the government collected as loan, in order for the poor man to benefit, hand over that resources to the governor. That brings us back to one thing that I don't want us to miss before the end of this program. Which is good, which is the local government autonomy.
Very good. It's good you mentioned it.
Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
If local government autonomy by the Supreme Court said, look, this, and up to this moment, that part, we believe that the Supreme Court should be the last hope in litigation.
Right.
And then, in their wisdom, pass judgment that, look, these resources should go directly to local government, not to state government. You have the federal government, the state government, and the local government.
And the three-tier government.
The three-tier government. So, why should a governor be in custody of a money that is not his own when this money can go directly to the beneficiaries of this money? Because governors have been known to abuse this privilege of holding, you know, in trust the fund meant for local government, and that is why there are no development at the local government level.
It's really, really bad.
The essence why local government was established is so that the people can feel the dividend of democracy at the grassroots.
That's correct.
Which are the basic amenities. Up to this moment, as I'm telling you, the people does not even hold local government chairman accountable. You know why? Because even if you hold them accountable, the resources does not even go to them. So what the local government chairman will just simply do, they will tell you, call your governor, call your senator. Me, I'm just here. As if you go ahead. And another thing is the abuse where we have seen the case of Osun State, where, as we speak, local government fund meant for the smooth running of the administration is being withheld by the federal government. It's not supposed to be so. Whatever it is, fix it.
That's right.
And let the people benefit from this money. It's the people's money.
But we have seen that this is the first time we've seen the federal government withholding, you know, salaries or salvation of particular states.
River State.
During Obasanjo, Lagos State, of course, Obasanjo withheld the salvation of Lagos State. We've seen River State, of course, the same thing happen, and Osun State.
Why must it be in Osun State? That thing would have been, in fact, they would have done it under Buhari. Because the people were crying that, look, Yaya Bello is receiving money and workers are not receiving their salary. To a point that the president at that time said, how do you feel as a governor going to bed where you know that your people or the civil servants in your state cannot even feed? They are not begging you. These are workers. These were people that joined civil service even before you became a governor.
It's an entitlement.
This entitlement is not a privilege.
At all.
At the end of the day, workers were committing suicide because they could not feed their family. He even mocked them. I've said it, I'll repeat it again. He even mocked a particular tribe in that same Kogi state that their men are ready to send their wives to a prostitute for 4,500 so that they can bring the money to feed. I'm talking about civil servant sending his wife and daughter to go and prostitute to bring money to feed the family because the governor refused to pay his salaries and entitlements.
Well, the government has
Today,
made
that same governor, who of course was under the watch list of the EFCC, is moving freely and nothing is being said. As long as we are concerned, EFCC has abandoned that case. Because they keep making an excuse for the governor. Someone that should be behind bar. That is just one case. Because he is a member of the APC. I believe that if he was a member of another political party, it would be so. We have seen the case of former governor of Plateau State, who of course he was serving jail terms in Kuje prison. That is where Yaya Bello belongs. And so many other governors that of course have impoverished their people because of withholding the fund meant for local government. At this point, we want to ensure that if reform must take place, not just in the judiciary, every sector. The Nigerian police force is one area, health sector is another area. So if not, if you are just, you know, if you are just washing one hand, you understand that the other hand might get rotten of infection.
You keep mentioning APC. The thing is, well, why not mention the people in particular? Because You same people you find in APC today, you see them in PDP tomorrow. Now they're bringing up is it ADC, where we have the same people,
coalition.
the same.
These are politicians.
Let me say something.
With their interests.
Now, as Nigeria continues to grow and develop, it will be important for the judiciary system to remain committed to upholding the rule of law and protecting the right of all citizens. That is just what the judiciary need to do.
So are we hoping to see that happen?
As a matter of fact, we are looking at judicial reform.
Okay.
So if the judiciary can focus on that priority, where unnecessary bail application, remand order, and some of this interference from the executive, if they can curtail some of these things, you need to go around Nigeria and see people that are detained illegally. That alone is a nightmare. I still remember there was a time my younger sister had a normal argument with a neighbor and they fought. You know, that one went to police station. By the time she came back, my younger sister was not there, and the police have to arrest my mother. Why should you arrest another person for offense committed by another person? It is in, you understand? The law does not give you that power. That's what the Nigerian police, that is an abuse. It's an aberration. It's just one case of many that is happening today.
I would just hope that we get it right someday. The three cardinal points, like I said earlier, the appointment of Chief Justice of the Federation should be taken from the purview of the President.
The INEC chairman right now, as
And
we
the
speak,
INEC chairman is saying,
the INEC chairman right now, why should the president be the one to elect an INEC chairman? And that same president intend to run for an election. Where lies the loyalty of such a person?
That is where we have to.
That's where we have to get it right. So many judges today are of this systematic arrangement where the governor of their state are the ones that are sending their names, including those that were given the opportunity to become ATM in yesterday's ceremony. Why should it be so? That politicians are the ones that have to determine what happened in the judiciary. The governor, the ministers, they are all giving cars to judges. Is it that the judges does not have their own resources or their own budget? We know there's poor funding in all sectors in Nigeria. But then why should a governor be the one to be doing such Father Christmas? And you think that such governor will not control the judicial system in the state?
That is why I asked.
When there are a lot of things to tackle in the rural areas, because you collect funds for the people. Now you don't want the local government chairmen to be in charge of these local communities. How would they have access to quality education? How would they have access to quality health care? And this thing has caused a lot of issues now. When the government collects this allocation directly, they focus more on that capital state. They focus more on the state where they are sitting and neglect the other local governments. If you go around every state in Nigeria now, you discover, like here in Abuja, Abuja is developed, but there are some areas close to within Abuja and other areas in the FCT that are very, very underdeveloped. Underdeveloped in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, and in terms of accessing good road. We talk of lights and...
Now, 7-point agenda of the former late president Yar'Adua. He was not a man that believed in too many words. He is not a politician. I want to use that word.
It was a technical.
You understand? Yar'Adua understand that, look, the brain within us live within us.
That's right.
So there's no point going to America to do climate change. In Nigeria, we are lucky that we are not even facing climate change. But our problem here is hunger, unemployment, insecurity, lack of jobs. You know, these are basic amenities that Nigeria wants. Every year, the NYC systematically graduates, coppers. Who is going to employ them? If you move around our community today, there are 92% of jobless Nigerian youth, where the record is 43% of Nigerians that are jobless. The infant mortality rate is a record that in every 5, 2 died from childbirth because of lack of basic things that the hospital system needs in order to save the unborn. Go around the whole of the hospitals in Nigeria today. There is no week a mother does not die and her child just to have a baby. What are we saying? We saw the case in Uyo recently where a woman died with her twins. Her twins. And what happened? There were no doctors on seat. If there are doctors, there are no light. How many of these men we are going to talk about?
If we say we'll keep
you understand? So
I
I don't want us to just look at just the judicial area, but let's understand that in all area, Now, if you take such a person to court now, let's say the doctor on duty,
Yeah.
the next thing the judge should do, see where the thing now is now bad.
Mm.
The next thing the judge should do, because he's a medical doctor, you know, he will employ the best of senior advocate. Of course, there are many these days.
Yeah.
And then that one will come to court and will blow all the grammar, and then they will grant him bail. And when they grant him bail, the family of the deceased person are still mourning their loved ones. The doctor move on, the case go like that before you know it's abandoned. Who is going to give justice to those who are asking for
So if
justice?
we continue, it seems we will not be finished. So
yeah.
finally, let's look at the technology.
Okay.
Because the world is evolving and we
Yeah.
have AIs and a lot of things. So what do you think, how do you think the technology will get involved in this, and how do you think it will better the system, the judicial system?
This is a very fantastic.
Very important.
Yeah. Mm.
I was in Kogi State yesterday to do filing for a matter that comes up. Where do I need to travel to Kogi State to do filing?
It's also be at the comfort of your.
I can be in my comfort zone, do these things online, which is one of the reforms that the current Chief Justice and the NBA chairman are working on. You see, reform is a continuous process. We hope we achieve it. In most of our courts, the Federal High Court, most of the High Court, as a matter of fact, they are trying to do a paperless filing.
Yeah, because
Where you could just do it. Are you getting the
judges
point?
writing
Just do
their
everything, and then instead of traveling miles and distance to do filing. Because we want to move from paperwork. If you go to most hospitals today, they don't move with hospital file anymore. Everything is in the system. You can access them anywhere in the world. That is exactly how we want the system to be. Let's move from where we are. There's a place called improvement, and the judicial system is not left from that journey. It's a voyage that continues. So we hope that this right will be a fair right, that at the short pace of time, Nigerians, because if it doesn't benefit Nigeria, it's worthless. Any reform today that does not benefit the people, of course, from the judiciary, who of course is seen as the last hope of the common man, then it doesn't worth it. So we hope that a time will come when injustice will be reduced. Of course, we can't stop injustice. A time will come where abuse of power should be reduced. A time will come where people can feel free to hold government accountable through their civic rights. Section 35 to Section 41 made it very clear. You're entitled to some of these things. It's not a privilege, it's a right.
It's a right.
Why should I be killed for protesting that the government that I voted for is not giving me what he promised to give me? As a matter of fact, there should be a law that as you're giving us your manifesto, after 2 years, if we don't feel the impact of it, we should be able to, come and say, okay, leave that office.
Anyway, I think this is a conversation for another day, but there's no better time to end the conversation than now. And indeed, it's been very incisive and analytical, talking with you, Barrister Prince Ojoka. Thank you so very much for finding time to come on the show. This is Independence Special.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. That was a great one here.
You're welcome.
All right, we will take a short break now. I'll be back in a moment. Join us again.
And build our land in faith to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore. Where freedom rise and truth prevails. Our land where there's hope for us all. Our land where there's hope for us all. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there.
Glad to know you're still there. You're still watching Good Morning Africa. And like I said earlier, we'll be looking at the housing sector this time around. And we still have Barrister Prince Ojoka, who will be taking us through the housing sector. We'll be looking at Nigeria at 65 and how far have we gone in housing, in ensuring that we all have a comfortable and a safe home. So, Barrister Ojoka, what was the original vision of Shehu Shagari, if you could remember back then, the low-cost housing program, and why did it fall short of expectations?
The expectation, of course, of humans are insatiable in a country like Nigeria, where two factors: one, population; two, urbanization. A lot of people today are relocating from the rural area to the urban area, thereby making housing expensive for citizens. Now, if you look at the population of those that are migrating to the urban area, let's take Abuja as a case study. Everyone believes that the president resides in Abuja, of course, the grass is greener. So if 10 persons are coming to Abuja today, I am telling you only 2 goes back to their states.
Okay.
The other 8 want to migrate and settle in Abuja because they assume that the grass is greener since the president resides here in Abuja. That is one of many cases. Now, that of course, we'll now see that if we don't check it soon, we'll be working shoulder to shoulder. You can see the hold up that is piling in cities.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen at the state because most of the people at the state level are now migrating to the city. So in Shehu Shagari's time, they assume that the state should focus more in providing some of these things for the people. So the housing fund or the housing estate, as it was called then, where
Federal local
Federal
system.
you
local
understand,
estate,
estate,
yeah.
where for the state to control housing for the state. If the police today have to, find accommodation for their work, their officers, the Navy also do likewise. You discover that they have settled 1/3 of their personnel. So if at the Federal Mortgage Bank, of course, they are giving you loan, which is what they are currently doing, you save and then loan is given and then development and all of that. If it can go beyond the level it is now, so that people, you see, housing is a priority, it's a necessity. And the better things any government can do is to make it easy for people to have where to lay their heads.
Exactly.
So once that particular amenity, because it's an amenity that the people need, in as much as Nigerians need food to grow, they also need clothes to wear, they also need pharmaceutical product. In case therefore, they also need one of it, a priority, shelter.
Yes.
Shelter, of course, you see, is the first basic component a man needs. The worst life that could happen to any man is to be a wanderer with no place to put your head.
Exactly.
So for this particular topic, housing is a priority. You see, a man's home, even though it's as small as a thatch house, he's king in his house.
That's correct.
He feels is the safest place for any man. It is the only place a man can have peace. So if the government, of course, at this point can find a way to make housing affordable for citizens, then I swear it should be given to them at the platter of gold.
No wonder they said that no place like home.
There's no place.
With this urbanization, isn't there any way to curb it up? Because me, I'm looking at a situation where these rural areas to need to be developed, because if the rural areas are looking to carefully, I don't think any rightful person will want to leave that place to come into a city where they will have to manage and have to live in an uncompleted building or squat in an area. A lot of people, some of them are living under bridges. So don't you think it will be right if the rural areas are looking to ensure that the curb up the issue of congestion in the urban areas?
Thank you very much for that fine input. In order to cut state-to-state migration, thereby congesting some certain areas, we have to ensure that one thing is given priority to. How much is our minimum wage? Because it is on record that in Nigeria, a professor take home 500,000. How many dollars is that? That's barely $350 in a month. And a gardener in Scotland takes home that same amount in less than 3 hours. My cleaner will receive 30,000 naira as a cleaner in my house. Today, she's a cleaner in Kuwait.
Wow.
Now, guess what? She's being paid $500. $500 is 710,000 naira by the current exchange rate in a month. Who pays me as a lawyer today 710,000 naira in Nigeria? I mean, for our colleagues that are in government sector. That is what we are saying. With that kind of lifestyle, in 2-3 years, you could probably save and afford small housing for yourself, even without the government doing too much. But if our minimum wage is 70,000, please tell me again, after your promotion and all of that, school fees alone is climbing.
Exactly.
Feeding is expensive. Transportation to work, medicals, and all of that. Then house rent. Oh, landlord and agent will not kill us in this organization. You are getting the point. So how much do you need to save that will cover this whole responsibility that awaits you? And don't forget, Nigeria, of course, comes from broader relative where one person...
It's a typical African
tradition, practice.
You don't live for yourself.
You don't live for yourself. As I am here now, this is the end of the month. My mother should be expecting money.
Oh, sure.
Exactly.
My father should be expecting money. My
your
siblings should be
younger
expecting
ones.
money. Then the community where you reside, their widows and the church where you belong, we expect you to pay your offering and tithe
And
from
support the church building.
to support the church building. For how much again? As a minimum wage.
70,000.
But of course, this is very pertinent to note that majority of civil servants do not have houses of their own. You understand, living in a rented apartment. And we've seen the scheme, just like what Lucy said earlier, the Shehu Shagari's housing scheme, where a lot of people through that scheme were able to own houses of their own. And if you look at the projection, we didn't have visionary leaders who could have this continuation of this scheme. If Nigeria has had such, perhaps by now would have tried to a reasonable extent bridge the deficit in terms of housing in Nigeria.
Very simple. Let me give you a case study.
Okay.
Kogi State as a case study. A level 12 officer at this point is giving an Okada loan
Catalog.
because his salary cannot afford him a car loan. So in this 21st century, you expect a level 12 officer to be using Okada when he could be entitled to something better, maybe a car. Why will you not give him a car loan? You know why? Because his salary does not cover for a car loan. How much is his salary? But if you are paying him 500,000, for example, you know that yes, even if you are taking 200,000, you should be able to pay for a car loan. So even if you decide to give Nigeria housing loan today, how much is the minimum wage? How much is their salary? How many years will it take you
To pay off.
to pay off? That is why many housing what they call it insurance will not want to give a loan to a man that takes 10 years to pay off his loan.
Exactly.
It's simple.
So because of time, let us look at the Renewed Hope Housing agenda. Now, we've looked back at the Shehu Shagari, which looked like something that was progressing at a time, and it stopped on a particular time. So now, President Tinubu is bringing up the Renewed Hope Agenda Housing Scheme. How do you think it will help solve the problem of Nigerian housing? And do you think it will be affordable enough for a common Nigerian?
The president, most respectfully, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, is a man who have good plans, but it doesn't take. You see, a tree does not make a forest.
Exactly.
In order to drive such policy, so that the poor man or the common man or Nigerians can benefit, it must go beyond just we making policies or just saying it. The resources to pursue that drive is there. Nigerians should not. Nobody should say Nigerians is poor these days. We have seen how the government have come out and say, look, we are doing better. Taxation alone these days, money is, every month right now in Nigeria, the FAC shares an allocation of nothing less than 2 trillion naira At the end of the day, if the government can also give priorities to housing by also making provision the same way they are doing roads, they are also making plan for this housing. Then we
Would have
saw.
gone further than this. Well, I'm afraid for time constraint, Barrister Prince Ojoka.
Thank you.
But thank you so very much once again.
Thank you,
I like your
Prince Ojoka.
versatility, in this regard. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. This is just a part one of this conversation. Of course, we'll definitely build on this. Thank you so very much for finding time to come on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Prince
much.
Ojoka.
All right.
Thank you very
Once
much.
again, happy independence.
Same to you.
That's right.
Congratulations on our 65 independence as Nigerians.
Oh, yes. Forward we shall go.
All right. Well, viewers, thank you so very much for being with us from start to finish. Indeed, it's been inspiring, analytical, and incisive. Join us again tomorrow as we come with a fresh edition of the program. On behalf of the production crew, I want to say thank you so very much. And from my side, say happy independence anniversary.
Thank you. It has been a wonderful one, and thank you for staying tuned up till this very moment. For this episode and subsequent episode of Good Morning Africa, you can subscribe to Housing TV Africa on your YouTube channel, and you can follow us on all our social media handles, Housing TV Africa. You can also download the Housing TV app on your Google Play Store and Apple Store. Many thanks for watching. I am Mimi Tondo. Bye for now.